Williams endured another disastrous weekend in Zandvoort after Logan Sargent crashed heavily in final practice at Turn 4, while Alex Albon's car was disqualified from qualifying after his car's freshly upgraded floor body was found to be illegally wide. The steward's document showed that the team did not dispute the calibration of the FIA measuring system and the measurement of the car, but stated that their own measurements have produced different results. Williams' sporting director Sven Smeets said it was a frustrating weekend without points, but its upgrades provided the required performance kick. Max Verstappen says he won't be breaking the record for most F1 starts, following celebrations of the Dutchman's 200th at his home Grand Prix. Verstappen eclipsed F1 icon Alain Prost for starts at Zandvoort, but is still 23rd on the all-time list, well behind record holder Fernando Alonso, who is on course to reach 400 in Qatar. But while Verstappen, at just 26, could go on for another 15 years and break all records, including most wins and titles, the Dutch star said no when asked if he could do another 200 starts. "We've passed halfway for sure," the Red Bull Racing driver said. "It's been an incredible ride. 200 races. It doesn't feel like 200. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc got onto the Zandvoort podium with impressive race pace, but isn't happy with his season overall. Ferrari has lacked consistency as a frontrunner in F1's new era, with just 7 races won since the start of 2022. But Leclerc, in a chat with F1's official podcast Beyond the Grid, says that he's just focused on the work required to close the gap to the sport's frontrunners.
I'm not happy, but being frustrated is not the word. I mean, I'm very, very motivated to try and turn the situation around. Unfortunately, it's been a bit too long that we have been saying that as a team, and we need to do that now. But yeah, it's not to think about that will help us. It's just to think about what are the issues at the moment and what we can do in our power now to get better in the future. But that's the only thing we can focus on.
Mercedes protege Andrea Kimi Antonelli has been cleared for his maiden FP1 at this weekend's Italian Grand Prix, with the now 18-year-old set to replace Lewis Hamilton in the opening session. Antonelli is being lined up as successor to Hamilton, with myriad private F1 tests to bring him up to speed ahead of 2025, when it's expected that he will race alongside George Russell. The Italian will no doubt relish performing in front of his home crowd at Monza, but says he doesn't find the pressure daunting. "Mercedes has a clear opinion about my potential. Already this season in F2, the championship didn't kick off in the best way, but there were no negative thoughts," Antonelli said. Antonelli will be assessed by Peter Bonington, Hamilton's race engineer, who recently committed his future to Mercedes by accepting a promotion to become head of race engineering. Australia could have 3 of its own on the grid for next year's season-opening race, after Jack Doohan was confirmed at Alpine for 2025 as the squad's first Academy member promotion. Doohan, the son of 5-time MotoGP world champion Mick, joined the French squad's junior lineup from 2022 and finished 3rd in F2 in 2023, when he began his F1 reserve role. Though the 21-year-old, who'll drive alongside Pierre Gasly, isn't worried about getting rusty ahead of his debut with no racing this year.
I'll be knowing what the guys are feeling, in and out of the car, plus an extensive testing program within the team. So, yeah, I'm going to have quite a number of days in the car and, doing just as much driving probably as I would be as a race driver.
Red Bull Motorsport consultant Dr. Helmut Marko has confirmed that Liam Lawson will be on the F1 grid in 2025 in one of the brand's cars, with a decision to be taken next month. Red Bull has a difficult situation to manage, with 5 drivers for 4 seats in 2025, and Lawson able to walk from the brand if he's not handed one. The New Zealand pilot impressed the F1 paddock last year with a 5-race stint at Red Bull's sister team, where he replaced an injured Daniel Ricciardo and scored his maiden points in Singapore. But while team boss Christian Horner admitted the squad could loan Lawson to another team, Marco didn't hold back. Next year, he will be in one of our cars, Marco told Kleiner Zeitung. McLaren driver Oscar Piastri has revealed that an ill-fitting seat caused him to break his left 6th rib, with the 23-year-old suspecting it happened around the Austrian Grand Prix. Piastri posted to X and Instagram on August 11th that he had sustained his first broken bone, with a copy of the X-ray attached, which was dated the Monday after the British Grand Prix. But Piastri confirmed in Zandvoort that his seat had created a pressure point that eventually gave up, with his ribs pretty painful after Austria, which forced him to endure the following double-header with it. But changes to his seat made for Hungary, where he won, saw the pain subside and things improve again in Belgium. You make the seat obviously at the start of the year, and sometimes you get it a little bit wrong, he said. 1996 F1 world champion Damon Hill says it's too early to know whether Lewis Hamilton will regret his move to Ferrari, despite Mercedes winning 3 of the last 5 races. Hamilton's new Ferrari deal was the blockbuster news of F1's pre-season, with the Brit to shift from 2025. But while some may expect the 7-time world champion to regret his red contract in light of Mercedes' recent upswing, Hill says the truth will only come to light next year.
We don't know what next year's Ferrari is going to be like, and it could be the car to have. He might actually be, played a blinder, and by going to Ferrari. But it's going to be exciting to watch that whole story unfold anyway.
The FIA says there is no truth to rumors its latest technical regulation update was to stop a team from running an asymmetrical braking system. Reports over the summer break suggested Red Bull had run such a brake system up until the Chinese Grand Prix and pointed to Max Verstappen's brake issues and retirement in Australia as evidence. But the sport's governing body has denied the assertion, stating that the update was a result of teams keen to clear up ambiguity in the regulations. The since added detail to Article 11.1.2 states, any system or mechanism which can produce systematically or intentionally asymmetric braking torques for a given axle is forbidden. Lewis Hamilton has continued the charge for a Grand Prix in Africa, with the 7-time world champion putting the tough question to the sport's management: why are we not on that continent? F1's recent hopes for a return to Africa have all focused on South Africa's Kyalami circuit, which hosted the sport from 1967 through to its last in 1993. But over the break, East African nation Rwanda emerged as a serious candidate, which is set for a meeting next month with F1's bosses to talk about its plans for a Grand Prix at a permanent circuit. It's expected that Rwandan capital Kigali would play host, with the FIA to hold its assembly event there in December, as football's FIFA did with its Congress last year, giving top brass a chance to explore. And Hamilton, who was in Africa during the summer break, has added to the push, stating F1 has no excuses to stand behind. We can't be adding races in other locations and continue to ignore Africa, which the rest of the world just takes from, he said. Former F1 driver David Coulthard says that race promoters want to turn up the noise with 2026's cars, but that the sport's explosive growth shows that fans don't seem to mind the current engine note. F1's iconic sound changed from 2014 with the start of the turbo hybrid era. But while the cars have gotten louder in the years since, Coulthard says it is still the pinnacle of motorsport.
There's a plan actually in the regulations for 26. The desire from the promoters is that the car will be a little bit more loud, more connecting with the audio that we had from the past. But in the end, the fans are still turning out, they're still watching. It's still Formula One, it's the fastest race car in the world. And yeah, of course, the soundtrack is always very exciting, but when you put a turbo on a car, it's always going to suppress the noise because the turbo is driven by the exhaust gases.
Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.